Let's try Sauvage Elixir. Comes in a very small bottle. Let's talk about Dior Sauvage's Elixir. So this is the newest fragrance in a line of Sauvages after the Eau de Toilette, Parfum, Eau de Parfum, Parfum, and Very Cool Spray. This is the fourth in the line of this entire Sauvage line. Obviously Dior is like, this thing is working for us, let's keep churning them out. So hopefully in this video I'm going to go over all the elements that you need to know if you're actually considering purchasing this fragrance, whether or not is it different, is it the same, what's the price point, what are the sizes. I'll give you all my thoughts about this new fragrance. So Dior Sauvage Elixir was released in 2021. It's a brand new fragrance. So I tried this fragrance multiple times. I tried it in a controlled climate environment. I've tried it in cool environments. I've tried it in warm environments. Just because I've been doing a little bit of traveling, I've had the opportunity to try this in different circumstances. So once you actually spray this fragrance on my skin, the first thing that you get is a fougere element. So it's very, very herbaceous. It's very green. And then it turns into something very sweet, and then the ambroxan that is very common in the other Sauvages makes an appearance. For the lifetime of this fragrance, I would say that the ambroxan, the dry down, lasts the longest. The opening is really, for me, this fougere, barber shop, old school kind of element that they've put into this fragrance, and it really gives thought to what Dior was going for with Elixir, because it really is like this old school vibe mixed with sweetness, mixed with ambroxan, mixed with the freshness, combined all together. So if I had to describe this in very succinct terms, I would say it's spicy, sweet, and then fresh. That would be the life of this fragrance. So you might be wondering at this point, well, you know, maybe I already have the other Sauvages, I have the EDT, I have the Parfum, or I have the Eau de Parfum. How is this fragrance any different from those fragrances? So right off the bat, I'll tell you that this fragrance comes in, the Elixir comes in a 60 ml only at this point. And everyone else, the Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and the Parfum, they come in 60, 100, and 200 ml. Now, I have to flag for you that the other Sauvages, when they did come out, they only came out initially in the 60 ml and the 100 ml. But this one, when it came out, it did come out only in a 60 ml. Now, that is reflected in the price point of this fragrance as well, because the Elixir, although it comes in a 60 ml and you're getting less juice than the other Sauvages, this is more expensive than the other Sauvages. So this will cost you more as well. Canadian, this will cost you about 200 before taxes, so about 230 with taxes, everything in. Whereas the other Sauvages will cost you around 150, 160 depending on where they are. So in comparison to the other Sauvages, where does this one stand? I would say this one shares more similarities with the Eau de Parfum than it does with the Eau de Toilette, because the Eau de Toilette, when you wear it, you get this vibe of it being very fresh, very youthful. I would even dare say more versatile because of how fresh it is. I think that this Elixir is closer to the Eau de Parfum because it is darker, it is deeper, it is something which is more, I don't want to say resinous, but it's more subdued, right? So this fragrance is much more subdued than the Eau de Toilette. So this, I would compare it and say it's closer to the Eau de Parfum than it is to the Eau de Toilette. It's definitely not as bright in the opening as the Eau de Toilette, right? So if you know the Eau de Parfum and you've compared it to the Eau de Toilette, you will know that those two Sauvages, the Eau de Parfum is much more subdued as well. It's much more relaxed. It wears closer to the skin. Whereas the Eau de Toilette is, listen, the difference, I'm going to tell you right now, the difference is that the eau de toilette will say they will know that you're coming, as opposed to the eau de parfum that they will know that you're here. Okay, so that's the difference. I would say the elixir is closer to the eau de parfum, where people will know that you're here, as opposed to they will know that you're coming. A final point about comparing and contrasting this entire line is that the eau de toilette and the eau de parfum and the parfum versus the elixir on one side is that the elixir lasts way longer. It's more potent, the concentration is higher. I mean, it's in the name. It does last. The longevity on this fragrance is significant. You will smell this if you don't wash your clothes the next day. You will smell it on your skin. It does perform extremely well in terms of longevity. In terms of projection, I would argue that this is less than the eau de toilette, that people will smell you if they are closer to you, but the eau de toilette is brighter and shines better than the elixir. If you're liking this content, a sub to the channel would be incredible. So which fictional character would I say would wear this fragrance? I would say that Jason Statham from The Transporter. So this is someone who is very well put together, much more an introvert, doesn't speak a lot, wants his presence to be known as opposed to his words. This is the type of person, this is the fictitious character that would be wearing this fragrance here. This is definitely for someone who I would say is older, and who maybe their target audience is the people who are in a more advanced age gap. If your demographic that you're targeting is, you know, let's say 25, 30, 25 and up, I would say this is a perfect fragrance for that. If your demographic is a younger demographic, you're in high school, you're in university, you're a young professional, you're not middle management, you're not a CEO, I would say stick with your eau de toilette. But if you are, you know, if that's a demographic that you're targeting and you like compliments and you want to be complimented, I would say, you know, depending on your age group, pick which Sauvage applies best to you. Which day of the week would I say this represents? I think that this definitely represents, because it's Sauvage and because it has that ambroxan element and it lasts the entire for the longevity of this fragrance, I would say for the majority of this fragrance, the ambroxan is there. This is a very versatile fragrance, not in the opening and not in the mid, but for the longevity of this fragrance as a whole, I would say you could wear this any day of the week. I would argue though that this definitely shines on a Friday or a Saturday night. So if I had to associate a day with this fragrance, it would definitely be for the evening. It would be for the colder days. It would be for the time that you need something which is a little bit stronger, a little bit has more potency, that would cut through the cold. It definitely in the spring, colder months, winter, fall, this is where this fragrance would definitely shine. Which points of reference can I give you for this fragrance? Well, obviously, because it's a flanker of Sauvage, I would say, you know, if you have Sauvage, if you want something a little bit different, it is different enough to warrant purchase of you know, the other fragrance of Elixir if you already have the eau de toilette. I don't know for myself if it's worthy of getting the Elixir if you already have the parfum or the eau de parfum. Well, the other point of reference that I would suggest to you is that it also has that element of Rive Gauche by Yves Saint Laurent. It's an old school fragrance, it's a barbershop fragrance, fougère. It has those elements in it. It just reminds me of that. It's in the similar vein as Rive Gauche by Yves Saint Laurent. Okay, and last point in terms of my analysis for this fragrance is whether or not this fragrance is worthy of my collection or is it worthy of collecting dust. For me, this fragrance is worthy of collecting dust. simply because I have the eau de toilette. I have a 200 ml of the eau de toilette of Sauvage. This will last me long enough. I find that the element of, because the longevity, the portion, the ambroxan part of the elixir lasts so long, it's too similar for me to have both. I find that it would be a redundant purchase to have the elixir and have the eau de toilette as well. I also am a fan of how bright and how it shines. I like that eau de toilette opening way more than I like the elixir opening. Now, having said that, I want to say to you, I'll share something with you, is that when Sauvage actually came out, it got a lot of hate, the eau de toilette, simply because it was a fragrance that people said it was a shower gel fragrance, it was a dumb reach fragrance, but people came around to it because people really liked it. And I was amongst those as well, but never really, when it initially came out, I didn't enjoy Sauvage as well because I didn't think it was that challenging. However, with time, people's nose change, it matures. I purchased a bottle of a 200 ml bottle because it's actually a very pleasant fragrance. So having said that, you never know 6 months down the line, a year down the line, how people will feel about elixir. It's definitely a different type of take on the original Sauvage. So what are my final thoughts on this fragrance? So Dior is definitely creating a Sauvage for each age demographic, right? So you're gonna have the eau de toilette, you're gonna have the eau de parfum, the elixir. They're trying to cover all their bases, people who are younger, people who are middle-aged, people who are older. They're trying to cover everyone with Sauvage. I would say if you don't have the other Sauvages, maybe try this one on your skin and see how it develops. Maybe you will have a liking to this fragrance, to elixir, more than you would to the other ones. But I'm gonna bet my money that one of those Sauvages is probably going to appeal to you if you're just looking for a very safe fragrance. One of them, because they've kept the foundation of that ambroxan foundation, and then they've dealt with the architectural sides, right? They've meddled with the architectural sides so that around it might change, the eau de toilette, eau de parfum, the parfum, but the foundation will remain the ambroxan, right? So people initially, like I said, hated Sauvage when it came out. My guess is people will come around to this fragrance as well. Dior can do no harm with Sauvage. It's too safe of a fragrance for people to hate on it, right? So having said that, those are my thoughts on Dior's Sauvage's Elixir. Let me know in the comments below, have you tried this fragrance? Is it something that you intend on buying? Maybe it develops differently on your skin. I've heard that some people, my friend, when they tried it, they said it became very sweet on their skin. I didn't get that. I got the fougere and I got a little bit of sweetness, but more so the ambroxan. Let me know in the comments below, how did this fragrance develop on your skin? And lastly, let me know what Sauvage is your favorite, right? Like, is this the ultimate Sauvage for you? Is the ADT the ultimate Sauvage for you? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have not subscribed, a sub to this channel would be amazing. It would help me grow, and I appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next one.